So the wild mode ladder has been really interesting for me today. Just strange things have been happening. And in this little highlight, the Even Shaman decides to kill the Void Caller. Not a good idea. Brings out Azari, devolves Azari into Baku. Not too bad. But then devolves Baku into Grommash, which is amazing because I've got Demon Wrath in hand, I have Mortal Coil in hand. So now we're about to get Grommash value. And drawing the Void Lord there is just the icing on the cake, because we have a big fat taunt to protect Grommash.
Most impressive.
So yeah, stuff like this has just been happening to me all day, and it's just been really funny. I'm not complaining, it's different, it's interesting. It's what makes wild mode so fun, I guess. As we're waiting for Rusticans Rumble to be released.
You fight well. I am finished here.
Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's get down to business. What deck am I focusing on today? Today it's the same deck that I played yesterday. So yesterday I had an incredible amount of fun with OTK Dragon Priest, and the deck is courtesy of a friend of mine on Twitter called Nicola Marconi, who hit legend with this deck. And yesterday you saw me steal Kingsbane from a Kingsbane rogue and kill them with it. That was so much fun. So I thought, okay, let's revisit the deck. Let's see if my luck from yesterday can hold out again. And I went from rank 5 to rank 4 with this deck today, which in my mind makes it a pretty good deck. People do not expect to play against Dragon Priest on the wild ladder. You know, people view it as a relic from the past. So to see it doing work on the ladder is a great thing. My favourite card in this deck has to be Draconoid Operative. Yesterday I was able to steal Kingsbane, and as I said, and it was just amazing. Dustbreaker has done a lot of work for me. Dragonfire Potion has been surprisingly good as well, because when you have a board full of dragons, Dragonfire Potion means you can clear an enemy board but keep your own dragons alive, and that to me makes it better than Excavated Evil in this deck. It makes it better than Light Bomb or other board clears that a priest has, because you keep your own minions healthy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with dragon decks when the new expansion hits. I don't know if dragons have got much love from Rusticans Rumble. Maybe we have to wait for the next expansion before dragons get a bit more love. I'd quite like to see an all-dragon expansion. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, let's just have a look at a few highlights of how this deck has been working for me. So I mentioned Draconoid Operative and the potential to steal cards. So here, being able to steal a paladin weapon, Vine Cleaver, and to be able to steal Level Up. I mean, who's the aggro deck now? And this is pretty nuts, right? We have the board against an aggro paladin, and we have Level Up, and we have 2 Dragonfire Potions. That's just insane. I mean, with these games, I've almost forgotten that I can also play Shadow Reaper Anduin and double Mind Blast to kill my opponents. I mean, in yesterday's video, that's what I was doing. I was playing Anduin, playing Mind Blast, and winning games. In the games that I've played today, it's as if I don't even need Anduin to win. It's as if the dragons alone are enough and do enough work to win games. But yeah, pretty sweet win against the Paladin there. Against Even Shaman, and these are the decks that I've been facing a lot of on the ladder, even Even Shaman, the Paladins, a couple of big priests. But against the Even Shaman here, being able to buff up a Twilight Guardian to 8 health, and with there being no devolve in his hand, we're able to essentially maintain our presence on the board. I was debating whether to put the Power Word Shield on the Whelp or the Guardian. I think it's fine to go on the Guardian there. He's shown he's not got devolve, so he has to work really hard now to get through the 10 health on that taunt. So Jade Lightning, Shredder Trade and a weapon hit. Yeah, I'd call that working really, really hard to get through the taunt. So his golems are growing now. But Dragonfire Potion clears his board and lets us keep our dragons alive. And I mentioned this earlier. This is really, really good. We clear his board, we keep our own dragons alive, which means we keep the pressure up. Indeed, how can this be? He now has to work really hard to gain any kind of control back on the board now. And to think we've been able to do all of this with a couple of Twilight Whelps, a Wormrest Agent and a Twilight Guardian. And compared to his Sea Giant, my minions look small, but I have lots of minions. He only has one that can attack. And we're just going to keep going wide on the board. And we can just probably go face here. A Devolve wouldn't do much for him either, because we'd still have a wide board.
Warriors of the frozen wastes.
Now, the Lich King has 8 health. In theory, it means he can survive, right? Well, we have Shadow Visions. And oh look, there's a Mind Blast for 6. And that feels pretty amazing. Okay, heading into our next game, and we're going up against a warrior. Now, my initial thought was that it's probably Pirate Warrior, because I don't really face Control Warrior much anymore, and if you're facing a warrior, it's more than likely Pirate Warrior. So I've kept the Wormrest Agent, kept the Azerdrake. The Azerdrake at least ensures that I could activate the Wormrest Agent, even if I didn't draw another dragon. And Wormrest Agent is really, really good against aggro decks. But then you see the unstable Ghoul come down, and you're like, what the hell is that doing in his deck? And then you realise, you think back a bit, and you think, what deck plays Unstable Ghoul and Frothing Berserker? Well, it has to be Patron Warrior. And one of the ways that Patron Warrior wins is by doing ridiculous amounts of damage through Frothing Berserkers. And with that Ghoul in the way, protecting the Frothing Berserker, you're sort of thinking, well, what can I do here?
I wonder.
Well, we could trade into the Ghoul, and we could coin out the Dustbreaker. But I don't think that's worth doing. Not yet. So, we just got to hope that our Wormrest Agent can block that 8 attack from going to our face. Of course, it's very unlikely.
Your magic shall not save.
Because Patron Warrior it runs Executes, it runs Spellbreaker. But I guess playing the Dustbreaker there seemed fine. We didn't really have another way of dealing with that Frothing Berserker. But we were able to kill 2 minions with the Dustbreaker, so I think that was reasonable. And I've picked the Death Spite here because it's a weapon. Weapons are good. They let me kill minions like Grim Patrons. I'm not sure if the Frothing Berserker would have done much for me. Okay, so we talked about Frothing Berserker being one way that Patron Warrior wins games. Well, here's the other way, the second way. You just get a board of Grim Patrons and, you know, they hope that their opponent can't answer it. Now, thankfully for me, I have Dragonfire Potion, and I think that's going to have to be my answer here to this board. Part of me is almost tempted to wait a bit longer and to see what else he plays and then to get more value from the Dragonfire, but the thing is there's 12 damage on board, and knowing Grim Patron Warrior as I know it, or thinking back to how it used to be played, Grommash is probably in the deck too. There's the third win condition, playing Grommash. So if we take 12 to the face, all he needs to do is play another Death Spite, play Grommash, and that's 14 damage.
Armor made to fit.
So now that we've eliminated the first wave of patrons, I guess if you're Patron Warrior, you go digging for more cards. And you try and build up some armor as well. Now, in hindsight, I'm not entirely sure why I picked Primordial Drake there, because against a second wave of patrons, it's actually really, really bad. 2 damage AoE will not kill a 3 health patron, and will just summon more patrons. But Primordial Drake is very good against Grommash. It's an 8 health taunt. At the very least, it can block Grommash from hitting my face. And he is drawing an insane number of cards. In fact, that's, I guess, a way of winning. They draw their decks a lot quicker and find their combos, their win conditions quicker, and just aim to end games as quickly as possible. So he's probably got the second Grim Patron in his hand.
Brilliant.
And what is worrying about that is that we don't have the second Dustbreaker, and we don't have the second Dragonfire Potion available to us. But I applaud my opponent, I really do. I applaud him for playing Patron Warrior. A bit like Dragon Priest, it's a deck that doesn't see much play, and when it does get played, it's a big surprise. And very refreshing too. Very, very refreshing. Makes a change from facing the usual sort of big priest or the usual even shaman deck.
Are you mocking me? You wish to live forever.
So I'm buffing the health there on the Wormrest Agent, just to make sure that Deathspite can't kill it. And in hindsight, maybe I should have healed my face rather than the minion there. Not entirely sure. So he'll have a Death Spite in this deck, which he'll want to use with his next Grim Patrons and or use with Grommash. It's really thinking hard here. Patron Warrior is a hard deck to play. It really is not easy to navigate, and it is possible to make lots of small mistakes that can just lose you the game.
Your magic shall
Okay,
not
there's a second Spellbreaker.
Let the pain speak to me.
Wow, he really wants to draw cards here. He really, really wants to draw cards. So, we have to kill the ghoul, right? We have no way of silencing it. We have to kill it. Therefore, he's going to draw 2 cards from that Acolyte. So, we could use Primordial Drake, or we could use the Death Spite to make this happen. I like the idea of getting the Death Spite on board here.
For Elune.
So, face goes in, card gets drawn, that's unfortunate. But now we could steal something interesting, and oh look, there's a Grim Patron. So, we could make our own board of patrons.
My hand is full.
I was hoping to mill him of something more substantial than Blood to Ichor. But we have the Death Rattle from Death Spite to generate more patrons. We also have the 2 damage AoE from Primordial Drake. That can help too. However, now may not be the time to make Grim Patrons. I mean, it'd be pretty funny. Instead, the Primordial Drake may be better. And I think that that attack was wrong. This is where I got slightly confused in this game. I took 2 additional damage there. I could have attacked into Finley and then played the Drake. So it'd have achieved the same thing. I'd have taken 2 less damage. And actually, 2 damage can mean all the difference between winning and losing. Okay, there's that Death Spite, and he's going face with it, which probably means one of 2 things. By making the attack into my face, he's trying to set me up, either for a Grommash turn, so he can deal 4 damage with the Death Spite, 10 with Grommash, 1 from the Hero Power, that's 15 damage. So that is like a lethal setup. Or he's got Grim Patrons in hand. So that's what I read from that particular play, which makes me think I need to use Spirit Lash here. Spirit Lash should heal me out of range. Now, it's a choice between sacrificing the Whelp or the Cleric. We sacrifice the Whelp because that Spirit Lash is going to do 2 damage. So at least the Cleric survives here.
I'm almost out of cards.
Now, if he goes face with a weapon, yeah, she's going to die. But at least she's on board. He may choose not to attack this turn with the weapon. And that is a top-decked patron. So let's see how many Grim Patrons he can generate. Oh, he's going to get armor too. So there's no Dustbreaker in hand. There's no Dragonfire Potion. Okay, so he's going for the near enough full board here. Actually, he only gets 5 patrons. Oh look, there's a Dragonfire Potion. And that is game over. So, 2 Frothing Berserkers are gone. Both Grim Patrons have been killed off, have been used. He's generated a ton of armor, but with 3 cards left in hand, his only hope, his only saviour, is Grommash. And this was a close game. A very close game. But Shadow Reaper Anduin here is going to turn things around for me. And whatever that last card is, it can't win in the game. Sure, I have this 2 damage hero power now, which means I can't heal my face, but we have Alexstrasza for that. So he may be hoping that, since my hero power can't heal, he may be hoping that he can just ping me down over the next few turns.
I bring life.
But no, Alexstrasza bringing life and hope, or at least I think that's what she says when she comes down on the board. And there's the concede. So, I made some mistakes in that game. I did not play that perfectly, but we're still able to win, and that was a pretty epic game. Again, very, very different to what you usually face on the ladder with even shamans and big priests and aggro paladins. So, it was certainly a lot of fun. So, the Rusticon Rumble Hearthstone expansion is due to hit very shortly, so certainly looking forward to that, looking forward to playing around with the new cards. But hey, until the expansion hits, I think I'm going to continue having fun with this Dragon Priest deck. So, you know, if you are looking for a deck to rank up with whilst you're waiting for the expansion to hit, in fact, if you're looking for a deck to use at the start of the expansion when everyone is playing around with new cards and playing very badly, this is perhaps the kind of deck that can take advantage of that. So, a big thank you to Nicola Marconi for this deck. It's worked a treat for me. It took me from rank 5 to rank 4. I wish I could have shown you the rank 4 game. It's just that I played that whilst I was sitting on the treadmill at the gym. So yes, using my gym very productively there to play Hearthstone. And if you guys enjoyed the content in this video, please give me a little subscribe, I'd be grateful. And I'll see you guys all again very soon after Rusticon's Rumble hits, and we'll be perhaps looking at some Hunter decks. Perhaps I will see what my friend on Twitter, Dewin, is doing with Hunter, and we'll see what we can make work. So, I will see all of you in a couple of days after Rusticon's Rumble gets released.